Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Keepin It Reel. It's me and Jake this week. Say hi, Jake.
What up?
And we have a special guest that we befriended through the internet. Say what's up, Ethan from Cineflek.
What's up? How y'all doing?
You know what? It's been a long time since I saw you in real time 2 days ago. So
I know.
It's
Well,
good.
it's an honor. I'm glad it went well enough that I got the invite onto your show, or at least you didn't cancel the invite to your show.
I tried. Jake told me no. Just so you know.
Jake told you it's too late.
He said, "Stop being Phil Connors." And if you want to know where that comes from, go check out Cineflek. We did an episode there. By the time this
should be
comes
up by the
out,
time this comes
yeah.
out. Yeah, for sure. We did a Groundhog Day episode that was really fun.
I'm expecting this to go about the same. I'm gonna be honest. Ooh, Jake, was that the crack of a beer?
That was. The
Damn,
beer's been
I need a
cracked.
beer.
We watched Napoleon Dynamite, which,
We did.
Ethan, this was your choice, and I want to know why you were like, I want to watch this movie and talk about it.
Okay, y'all. I don't know. It seems like I might be on the Napoleon Dynamite hype train slightly more than you guys, and I'm totally fine with it. It literally kills me like probably every other line. Like I'm laughing out loud. I swear to God, this movie kills me. I don't care if that makes me like a 13-year-old inside. That could be a factor, but like it's so funny. Like John Hedder's performance throughout, I just love it. It genuinely feels like just a great sitcom. It feels like a great sitcom episode. Like it's just a lot of little jokes throughout. Nothing really happens, but like you're just really happy for everyone, I guess.
I don't remember nothing happening.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
There's no
Yeah.
plot in this
There's
movie.
nothing happens.
I remember laughing a lot as a kid, and I don't know if I laughed a lot because everyone just said the same 8 lines from this movie constantly. I'm like, what? It's been 17 years since this movie came out? And
This
I'm
had to have
pretty-
been one of the most, like, in terms of lines, like most referenced movies in middle school.
Yeah.
100%. That and
So-
The Hangover.
Oh, Hangover for sure.
Yeah, Hangover was a big one for sure.
But like, I wanted to talk about that. This movie was made for $400,000,
Yeah.
and it easily was a success. Like right away, made $48 million at the box office.
Oh my
Made-
God.
Totally.
Made $150+ million. Am I back?
Yeah, you're
You're
good.
back. You're back. We can hear you.
You were in the middle of saying something.
Why? So I rattled off a bunch of stupid info about how much money this movie made,
Yeah.
and then wanted to know why this was such a success. Like, it's such a dumb movie, but I don't know that many people that don't like it. Everyone just says the same thing. It's either it's so dumb it's funny, or it's just dumb, but I have no feelings about it. Because, like, I may or may not have sent a mass Snapchat out of the whole 1% quote, which we'll get into later, and I laughed out loud for it.
I think it's probably because it's funny enough to laugh throughout. Like, obviously, it's dumb, but it's pretty funny still. And it's unique. I think that's a big piece of it.
Yeah, totally.
It's not really like when we talked about Groundhog's Day. It's it's a theme that's been done over and over. Napoleon Dynamite is a very unique movie. It's not like, I mean, maybe that goes back to the fact that there's no plot. It's just a bunch of random dumb stuff. But
Yeah, it's true. I was talking to my girlfriend about this movie right after we watched it, and trying to like figure out what movies it's most similar to. Like, it's got elements of like the Wes Anderson sort of symmetry, but like it's got this thing that just feels so like homemade. It feels like
Yeah.
made with love, and like the characters are just, you're just rooting for them. They're like Napoleon Dynamite is such a lovable idiot in this. I don't know. I just like, I genuinely love the dude, and I really want him to succeed, and like get rid of his Uncle Rico, and it's like dance his ass off at the end of the movie. Like I'm just so damn happy for the guy, even though he lies about everything, and yeah, I don't know.
So
I just love him.
I had a guy in high school that was Napoleon Dynamite,
oh no.
and then he got expelled because he may or may not have shown up with a bunch of guns in his car.
Oh,
One,
That's concerning.
did
one
you say in
he-
high school?
Yeah. One, he was a skeet shooter, so like that's what he did for fun, which is a weird thing to do for fun.
Yeah.
Like randomly just pick up, I'm going skeet shooting.
Right.
Sorry, any skeet shooters that listen to this, but it's a weird hobby. But yeah, you don't need like 4 shotguns in your car. Like that's suspicious.
It is.
So-
It is concerning.
Yeah, so he got expelled, probably for good reasons, but he reminded me of that kid of Napoleon Dynamite, and I was like, I feel like this just might be everyone knows a Napoleon Dynamite in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, my mom thinks my uncle is a Napoleon Dynamite, and like especially in high school, she's like, "This was you in high school," and he's like, so it's kind of been like a thing in our family. I think one year she got him like an action figure that was like the Napoleon Dynamite dude. Yeah, and then I've done Napoleon Dynamite like maybe 2 Halloweens. Like this is my second Vote for Pedro shirt. Like I had one that I grew out of, and I was like, shit, I just need another one of these. I love the shirt so much.
So when this episode comes out, I may or may not have the Rex Kwon Do pants in some shape
Yes.
and a blue collared shirt. So
Rex Kwon Do.
I
Kick me
may
in.
or may not have gone multiple Halloweens as Rex Kwon Do because 1, I'm cheap, and 2, I hate Halloween. So I was just like, I'm just gonna wear this because they're like the most comfy pajama pants I've ever got in my life. I was like, I'm wearing them, whatever. But yeah, that, and then I had a friend who dressed up like Napoleon Dynamite for way longer than he should have. He just tucked into his shirts. He got weird shirts and tucked them into his pants, and I was like, all right, yeah.
Like
we're doing this.
as a joke to Napoleon Dynamite, or that's just how he dressed?
I think 50-50. I think he liked it, but as a joke to Napoleon Dynamite, he loved the movie so much he would wear it all the time.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little unironic then. Like,
Yeah,
you
no, I
wanted
did-
it to be like kind of a hipster thing, maybe.
So I don't know. I don't question people's choices in life.
All right.
I just let them do their thing and just go from there. But
Yeah, oh, that's understandable.
yeah. We're all weird.
We are. I can't deny that.
So
For sure.
this is like the 4th time we've tried to continue with this. My internet has sucked today for some apparent reason, but I haven't figured it out why. But
Oh,
hey,
bro, we'll get you.
I'm back. So I don't remember where we left off, so I'm just gonna move on to the next section. Summaries of the movie, brought to you by Leo B. Hart Elementary School. I don't know how to summarize this movie.
I can try.
Yeah, do
Are
it.
you supposed to do it first?
Go for
Are you
it.
supposed to do it first? Okay.
My summaries
So-
are super half-assed because someone was like, "Hey, I don't know what you're talking about," so I literally just hit like the sprinkles on top is what my summaries
The
is.
summary for Transformers was something along the lines of some guy gets a car that turns out to be a robot who fights other robots, and that was about it.
That is Transformers in a sentence. That's actually better written than Transformers.
That's what we said but didn't say at the same time. So I'm really offended
you were getting
that they made me feel so stupid, but so I made their summary just as stupid.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, summarize it. Go ahead.
All right, so Napoleon Dynamite. It's about this like weird ass kid who is a what's it called? This summary's going great. What's the what's the thing called where they lie uncontrollably?
Compulsive
A liar?
A compulsive liar. Yeah, he's a compulsive liar, which like no one talks about. And then and he's a weirdo, but like you kind of love him. His grandma somehow almost gets killed at the Sand Dudes because she's a badass. So he has to feed her llama, and his uncle for some reason comes to babysit them, even though his brother's like 30, and then he meets a new friend. His friend gets rejected from the prom, so he decides to like run for class president. And he's like the best dancer in the world. which we don't know until the very end.
I mean,
His hips don't lie. I can tell you that.
Very true.
If Shakira magically came on that stage and started dancing, this movie would have instantly gone for instant classic for me.
I think my eyes would have still been on Napoleon Dynamite.
I have so many questions to ask you about your life choices. I mean, did you watch the Super Bowl last year? Between her and J-Lo, I was like, is that what I'm supposed to look like at 50? It's not happening. But we're going into box. I mean, it's 2021, man. I can do whatever.
You can do whatever you want, dude. Whatever you want, Mason. I support it.
Box of chocolate. Best lines of the movie. Mom goes to college. One, still don't know how this is an insult, but it's funny.
Your mom goes to college.
Mom goes.
Her reaction and slamming the box into his chest, and running away. I was like, this is super weird, and I don't know why you're so upset that your mom's trying to better herself by going to college, but
my impression of it was that like she'd been to a lot of other houses and her strategy of going door to door was not working, and this was like the last time because she was already kind of put out when she got to the place, and then I think what happened is she was just sort of totally sick about it. Should I just keep talking?
Yeah, go ahead.
And we'll get him back.
Yeah,
no, I think she was just like that was her last straw, just like being insulted for like going door to door, I guess.
Yeah, you're probably right. Just the straw that broke the llama's back, so to speak.
Tina, you fat lord, come get some ham. Eat the
Tina.
food.
that was the best thing I'd ever came into with my crappy internet.
Eat the food,
So
Mason.
Be transparent to the audience.
Oh, we didn't get that big old pop-up. You are now being recorded.
No, I shut it off.
Oh.
I hated it.
I didn't know you could do that.
Wow, that's sneaky, Mason. You're recording me in secret?
The recording has stopped.
Jake, I'm always recording you in secret.
Oh,
so
shit, that's
we
weird.
had to go back to a different file because my internet sucks or something, which is
It's
what
all
happened.
Mason's fault.
It is
Definitely.
100% my fault.
It is
100%.
100%.
No one else was having issues. But we're in best quotes of the movie. I said one. Ethan, did you say one?
I said one. I have another.
I don't know, but we can keep going. But I'll just let Jake go. You have a quote yet, Jake?
Fuck, I had it in my head and then I forgot it with all this stuff. Oh yeah, I got it. So it's not really that the line was all that funny. It was more that I've heard this line. And you remember in college, who was it who said it? Lionel, I think, said it all the time. And it always made me laugh. I never knew what it was from. When Napoleon and Pedro are sitting up in the bleachers and Napoleon tells him about his fake model girlfriend. And he goes, is she hot?
The best part about our friend
And he just
Lionel,
like pulls out a picture. Yeah, she's hot. Look at her.
So great.
not only is the picture from Deb of her glam shots.
Right.
Our friend Lionel was also Hispanic, and he could do the Pedro accent to like a
Is she
T.
hot?
And so he would
Yeah.
say it just like that. He had a mustache. I think he has a goatee now. So it was the most perfect like impression I've ever heard of in my life because he would say it all the time. And he would always come out in like his towel. He would say it to you in his towel coming out of the dorm bathroom. And he just look at you. Is he hot? And then that was it.
I think the most quoted line in Napoleon Dynamite, like around this house, would probably surprise you, because like my girlfriend all the time, like looks at things and goes, "I want that." Like the lady with the boat. That's like by far the most quoted line from this movie, which is like totally, it's not something a lot of people do.
Oh God.
Oh my Lord.
I love that part so much. And then like obviously the
I see you drinking 1%. Is that because you think you're fat?
Oh yes.
Because you're not. You could be drinking whole if you wanted to.
So like the best part of that,
You got a pretty good Napoleon
Oh,
impression.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
the best part, she has just food dripping down the side of her face. So like,
Where's your
Yeah,
walker?
it's like mayonnaise from her sandwich or something.
and it's just awful. And then I sent another quote, and I think that was one of them to one of my friends, and they were like, "Oh my god, I'm watching Grey's Anatomy, and that girl just died in it." And I was like, "Oh, that's a harsh reality."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Didn't she die in a super lame way?" This has nothing to do with the movie, but
No, but also side note off of what you're saying, kind of, if you ever watch Waterworld, which is a disastrous Kevin
Oh, God.
Costner huge blockbuster movie, she's like the child in it. She's like the
Is she
child that, like,
really?
has, yeah. She's the child from
Oh.
Waterworld. You should totally
Oh.
see Waterworld. That's a fun, just ridiculous watch.
all I've heard about Waterworld is it's like the biggest bomb of all time because everything went way over budget.
Totally.
So like
Totally.
it was a $200 million budget movie and it made like 100 at most or something like that. It was
Yeah,
just bad.
yeah, it went way over budget. I mean, they built all these like floating sets and shit, and like everything took place like way in the middle of the ocean because they needed like 360 degrees of ocean around them. It was ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
That's dumb.
But definitely worth checking out. Anyways,
Yeah.
Tina's great. Oh, sorry, Tina Majorino. Or what's her character's name? Deb.
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 Deb is just so awkward. Everyone in this movie is
Everyone
awkward.
in this movie is awkward.
Just so
You know what
awkward.
No, actually, we'll get to this later.
Go for it. Go for it now.
All right. So this kind of bugged me because halfway through the movie, I noticed it, and it honestly kind of depressed me. None of these characters, at least the main like four, like Napoleon, Kip, Pedro, and Deb, none of them smile the whole movie. They just look miserable the whole time. Until the very end. The very end,
I don't think
Napoleon
Napoleon
does the
Dynamite
dance.
ever. Yeah, he never.
Everybody
smiles.
claps, and then Pedro barely cracks a little grin, but nobody smiles the whole
I don't
movie.
think
until the
Napoleon
very
ever
end.
smiles.
No, the
Oh
whole
my God.
time. It's kind of depressing.
I've got a long quote for you guys. I don't know if you'll keep this in, but I'm just gonna do it.
I keep most things in.
Okay, good.
Last week, Japanese scientists placed explosive detonators at the bottom of Lake Loch Ness to blow Nessie out of the water. Sir Court Godfrey of the Nessie Alliance summoned the help of Scotland's local wizards to cast a protective spell over the lake and its local residents and all those who seek for the peaceful existence of our underwater ally.
Your Napoleon depression is like perfect.
Spot on.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, the best part of that scene is we all did current events in high school, which
Yeah.
I don't know what was the most ridiculous thing you guys ever did your current event about, but mine was about the BCS playoff system, first playoff
Okay.
system in college
Mhm.
in college football, and my teacher said this isn't an issue, and I said not to you, but it is to me, so
Yeah.
I got it to pass, and then. I always wore college athletic gear, so like you got
Yeah.
extra credit if you dressed up. So I was wearing an Oregon Rose Bowl shirt, and I was like,
Oh,
"Hey, I
perfect.
dressed up. That's 10 points." So it was my best, and she got really mad because I told some guy his opinion was invalid, and he's just upset that his college
Oh, God.
didn't make a BCS game.
That's funny
That's savage.
It was. And then
for you.
Then we did a book report, and I did it on The Godfather, and I didn't know the Godfather book is on the first two movies, and I only watched the first movie.
Uh-oh.
I hadn't watched the second movie in like 2 years, so she asked me questions about the second movie. I was like, "Ah, crap!" I don't
You
remember
didn't
the
have
second-"
answers.
The
Oh,
second movie.
I did.
AKA the second half of the book.
Yeah,
I once. Sorry.
No, I just said I did.
Okay.
Apparently, my recall for movies and things that don't mean anything to my life, I can do really well because I just pulled out everything. Because she asked me like, "Oh, why is Mike? Were you surprised by Michael's turn?" And I was like, "Well, he kind of already did it at the end of the first half of the book." And she just
It's
looked at
true.
me. She's like, "Did you actually watch the second movie?" It's like, "Have I watched the second movie?" Yes.
Of course, I have watched the second movie.
Did I watch it recently? Absolutely not. she liked that comment, but whatever.
Wait, wasn't it supposed to be about the book? You should have been like, what movie? They made a movie out of this? I read the book. I don't know what you're talking about.
I picked the
That is more believable.
I did the Hunger Games. I did
So you only
Holes.
picked books that they had movies about.
Of course. If it's a good enough book, they're gonna make a movie about it. I live by that.
That's
All
mostly true. It's mostly true.
It is.
Usually.
Can't disagree with you.
All right.
The movie's not always good. Sorry.
It's not, but it gives you enough.
I once made up a book for a book report.
What was the book?
Tell us about it. Yeah, that sounds
I
interesting.
realized that it was for this like comedy lit class I took in like high school, and I realized that like I had this book report due the next day. I totally forgot about it, and I was like, either I can like spark notes like the shit out of a book and like, you know, try to put this together and stay up all night, or I can make up a book and come up with like a mysterious origin story for the book, which is what I did. Like I said something along the lines of like, I found this at a neighbor's garage sale. I should have never trusted like a senile 80-year-old German man. And then like I proceed to trash this book that does not exist. I got like a B- on it.
That's
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
That's the most proud B- you've ever had in your life.
No, it's just totally.
It's still hanging on your parents'
It sounds to me
fridge.
like you basically just wrote a book of your own and just
I wrote
disguised it as a
fake
book report.
quotes. Yeah, it was fantastic.
That's
I
great.
was worried I'd have to produce the book. I was really worried about that, but luckily that never happened.
You just say you lost it or something.
Yeah,
You dropped it in the
exactly.
pool. And
I gave it
like-
back to my neighbor.
Yeah.
Pink
I threw
monkey.
it away because it disturbed me.
Pink Monkey, for everyone's listening, is like, oh, I have to do a book report, is the greatest paid thing I've ever done in my life. So I convinced my mom that, well, she actually found it, and I convinced her I needed it for every book. So it gives you a summary of what happens in the chapter. And then after the summary, it gives you a detail of the theme of the chapter.
Mm,
So like,
that's
I have
nice.
500-page book and I had to read 30 pages. I could do that. So I would read the 30 pages, aced every book report after that. Aced every test I had on it just because it was in such detail. Like someone had to sit down and write it all for me.
Nice.
Oh yeah, it was great. So
That's the way
Pink
to do
Monkey, any high schoolers listening to this, which I really hope, actually I hope you do.
I'm
'cause you
so
probably
glad I
find
don't
this
have to
funny.
like do high school book reports anymore. God,
Yeah, screw
so
that.
done with that.
All right.
Screw that.
Going into my next favorite quote of this, and something I say constantly.
Do the chickens have large talons?
It's actually based off that scene.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
$6. It's like $1 an hour. I got paid for something and I got like $20. It was over like 2 days, and they gave me like $20, and I legit would walk in, be like, $20. It's like $1 an hour. But yeah, that's one of the.
It's also very relatable.
I didn't know what talons were until this movie.
That's concerning.
I was 10.
That is.
Oh, I thought you meant like this watch.
Oh.
No. This watch.
How did you get through college? How did you get through high school? And
my
Oh,
charming
God.
personality and every sob story I could come up with?
Sob stories work sometimes.
Oh,
You gotta use
everyone's
the sob stories. Depends on the teacher, but you gotta try it with the sob stories.
Oh, every teacher takes a sub story. It's high school; they don't care. More watching that chicken scene, I was more depressed that chickens were in those tiny cages, and I was like,
Oh yeah.
vegans aren't happy about this one. And that's what I thought by watching it. I was like, my cage-free eggs are happier outside their cages than in those tiny ones. But yeah, I laughed at it.
Oh god.
There's
Jake-
this letterbox user that like puts vegan alerts at the bottom of all of her reviews. They've been like she's probably not listening to your podcast, so it's fine. But like she puts like alert references to buying like eggs and milk. And they'll be like alert leather jacket. Like it kills me so much every time. Like there'd be so many alerts in this movie. They're constantly eating steaks and shooting cows. And like
So I'm gonna watch Gladiator or True Grit with her and see how upset she gets watching those movies.
oof, yeah, no, totally. But this movie's pretty
Oh,
bad,
God.
honestly. From like
The cow getting
Vegan
shot.
perspective.
the cow getting shot. I don't care how old you get. I laughed at all the kids' reactions.
Literally
to
from like the
car.
opening credits of just like the food with the names on them. I think she'd flip it off.
Speaking of the steaks, did you guys notice the first steak that Uncle Rico made? How thin that was?
I realized how
Didn't
bloody
notice
it
that.
was.
It was like practically a cold cut. Was that just like a microwave steak? That thing looked nasty.
You could buy a ribeye that thin.
It was like what, 1/8 of an inch thick.
He might have beat it with a mallet to make it even more thinner.
They are eating a lot of red meat though.
Their
Yeah,
hearts are terrible.
That's pretty much all they ate in this movie was steak.
It's pretty funny. And nachos. Like I love
nachos.
I love the ever growing pile of cheese
Yeah,
in the corner.
it's just
Don't
getting
you love
bigger
that?
while he's talking on the phone.
It's so great.
Do you guys really feel Kip when he had that giant block of cheese that's literally like a foot
that
long,
thing was so big.
and he's sitting there with the shredder, and I was just like, I feel that scene so much because that is something I would do over a plate of chips.
Oh, 100%.
I was like, I don't remember that. Yeah.
On the real though, you do have to layer the cheese. This is my thing. Like you have to put some in the middle, otherwise like the bottom chips like not cheesy enough.
Oh, there's an idea.
I always layer the cheese. You got to put some down, you put some more chips down, layer it. I don't get too specific with it anymore, but like I used to be like pretty OCD about my nachos.
Oh, wow.
I think we should just go into a 20. We went alarm clocks and yours. We should just do a 20-minute segment about how
about
you
nachos.
layer your cheese on your.
No, we can
nachos.
totally talk about nachos. I'm here to talk about nachos. I feel like my lunches usually involve like some form of cheddar and like carbs. So I'll make a lot of like open faced grilled cheese sandwiches as well.
Open
mac and
grilled
cheese.
cheese sandwiches.
Yeah, you put them like on the broil setting in like a toaster oven, you know, and then you put some onion powder on there. And then they get like
Oh.
nice and like browned on the surface. They're gorgeous. Yeah. And then obviously like you can do like tomato soup with that, dip it in, you know, fantastic. Great
So,
for
like,
like a winter day.
So like I'm a big fan of the Kraft's American singles where you can like pull off the plastic and you're like, I don't know if I took it off
Yeah.
or this is still the piece of cheese.
Yeah.
Would it work for that?
You know, this is like real story. I tried that like a month ago and it created this like because there was something about the broil setting where usually with like cheddar, it like melts nicely, kind of burns the top. With the Kraft American, it created this weird like it started bubbling, but like not in a good way, and like created this weird layer of like it tasted like chemicals.
That's
Probably
because
because
it's
it is-
plastic. It's
Probably
not real
because-
cheese.
Probably because there were chemicals, but yeah, no. And then like I was just like, I'm just gonna put other cheese on this. So I tried to peel it off and it all peeled off in one
Ew.
motion too. It
Gross.
was bizarre. Yeah, so I would not recommend Kraft American cheese for this. I can post a recipe for your podcast if your listeners are interested. I recommend Tillamook sharp cheddar.
That's a good call. Saying we're from the Pacific Northwest or we live
Love
in the
Tillamook.
Pacific. Yeah, who doesn't? You got to do is you got to get the Kraft's macaroni and cheese, and then you put a piece of the Kraft single cheese on top of the Kraft macaroni and cheese.
my
If it's
God.
not cheesy enough, and just stir it in.
Honestly, the Trader Joe's mac and cheeses are like $2.99. I live off those. You put them in the microwave, 6
Ooh.
minutes. Put some cayenne on there. Fantastic.
Well, that's why my high
Man,
school.
I've never heard of somebody using spices on these like microwave meals.
Oh
That's,
yeah, I spice up my Trader Joe's stuff all the time.
Oh wow.
So, do you use Uncle Rico's Tupperware when you heat up your food?
The 24-piece set that comes with the model ship. I have not yet. No.
Oh.
Oh, that was
uh,
another great line that made me laugh out loud when Kip runs it over with the van and then he sees it just like fucking explode all over the street.
And he just
And he
drives
just goes,
off.
"Oh man," and just drives away.
Jesus.
Uncle
Like it
Rico-
drives off.
Uncle Rico saying I could throw a pigskin a quarter mile. I don't know anyone who's ever just grabbed a football and not said that.
And
their
then Kip
life.
goes, "Really?"
I could bet you I could throw a pigskin over the mountains. They're like 200 miles away. You just see them like this in the distance.
And he grabs the steak off of Kip's plate and throws it at Napoleon in the face.
But Jake, this is for you.
Oh,
Did Uncle Rico remind you of me talking about my high school football days and how I could have won
yeah,
state?
a little bit. Except obviously it's much more extreme.
I watched it and was like, oh, damn it. Jake's going to make a comment about that. I'm going to beat him to it.
You know, I didn't really even think about that, to be honest. But now that you bring it up, yeah, absolutely.
Well, when we did, what was it, 21 Jump Street, and I compared myself to Channing Tatum, and Tyler was like, do you just think you're the best character of every movie? I was gonna call myself Uncle Rico because he's the best character of this movie.
Is he though?
You really think he's the best character of this movie?
Uncle Rico has so many lines. I'm just like, I'm laughing when he said,
kind of a dick.
Well, if there's a theme with the Groundhog Day, obviously I find dicks funny, and so
yeah, I just like, for me, Napoleon just like is like one of my top 10 characters of all time. Speaking of Uncle Rico too, though, like I love the scene where they're watching his tape.
Oh yeah,
It's like, this is pretty much the worst video ever made.
It's so great.
Or
And Kip's all into it.
He's like, how do you
Kip's
know
like,
that? How can you even say that?
Kip's like his butt buddy.
he like idolizes Rico.
Napoleon, don't be jealous that I've been chatting with babes that I've been chatting online with babes all day.
My God, can you do every character in this movie?
I don't know.
Do Grandma next. Can you do Grandma?
Make yourself a damn quesadilla.
Can you just do this whole movie for me?
I can try.
Whatever I feel like doing, gosh.
Yeah, what was the deal with that? Why did he throw the action figure?
I have no idea, but I love it.
I was expecting that to come back later somehow, and it never did. It's like some random thing.
It's just like what he did, and then also my favorite part of the scene is like the double take. He's like checking to see if anyone's like looking to see if
like he's gonna get in trouble
just
for
like it's a secret, you know.
I think the best part of that scene is I think it's just to show us that Napoleon's weird as fuck.
Yeah, totally.
I think
because
right.
If you're 16, 17 years old and you can't make a 12-year-old idolize you and think you're the coolest person in the entire world, and that 12-year-old's just looking at him like, what the hell are you doing? I was like, oh, that's this movie I'm in for. I haven't seen this in so long. I completely forgot.
Oh boy.
But if you want to do your Napoleon voice for this, Ethan, in the locker room when Don asks Napoleon, hey, what'd you do all summer?
I told you I spent it with my uncle hunting wolverines in Alaska. What'd you think?
Did you kill any?
Like 50 of them. They tried to They tried to attack my cousins. What would you do in a situation like that?
What gun did you use?
Freaking 12 gauge. What do you think?
One, you are not hunting wolverines with a 12 gauge. I don't care what you're doing. You have like a 20-foot or 20-yard range, and that the moment the thing's away from you, you're done.
Oh my God.
You're shooting 50 of them. Hi, Lauren. What's up? She can't hear you. That's my sister, Ethan.
Oh,
Mason's
cool.
aside.
Hi, Lauren.
Ethan's aside.
That's our manager for anyone who's wondering.
Good.
Enjoy. Scully, come here. Scully, come here. Come here.
Sorry, man.
You distracted me. It's all our fault.
Scully, come here. All right, he'll figure it out.
Yeah, but that scene, another one of just Napoleon being weird as hell. As everyone's playing basketball, like you have the try-hard group who's really trying at PE, the girls who are just throwing it at the rim, and then Napoleon who's playing tetherball as a 16-year-old. And I don't know.
Like by himself.
I don't know.
Kills me.
The last time I played tetherball was probably about 5th grade.
Yeah, same.
And that's because this movie came out and everyone was like, we're playing tetherball because we're Napoleon. And everyone just tried to do his like hitting motion. And he's like, yes. It's just the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, no, in 5th grade, I'm pretty sure tetherball and foursquare were like the games to play, and wall ball.
Tetherball was underrated. It's
we had
much
a big
better than
handball
Foursquare.
thing in our school. We had a huge handball thing.
Yeah, handball, wall
People
ball.
got like really good at
Same
wall
thing,
ball. Okay. Yeah. People got really good at handball, and they were like handball gangs. You know, like you had like your gang
handball
of people.
gangs.
You like your gang of people like you played handball with. Sometimes you'd like challenge the like rival hand. It was like West Side Story, but with like handballs. They're like
was someone
Man, that is intense.
When
it
you
was
walked
pretty
up to each game, did you dance like in the West Side Story?
I did. I don't think anyone else did. It was just a me thing.
Were you Napoleon in elementary school?
What do you think?
Is there any other quotes?
No.
Oh, the tots thing. Of course.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the tots thing. I mean, like
Tots. I got a plate full. I made it just for this episode, but they got kind of nasty looking.
Napoleon, give me some of your tots.
They get kicked?
Yeah, they definitely got kicked.
Was that barbecue sauce?
Yeah, I don't have ranch, and I don't have ketchup, so I use barbecue sauce. You can't just eat tots plain. I'm not.
No, you can't.
Napoleon did?
Yeah, we've been over. Napoleon's weird as fuck. The dude eats cold tots out of his pocket.
That's the summary of this podcast. Like Napoleon's weird as fuck. He's a weirdo.
It's a good way to sum it up, yeah.
Yeah, that should have just been the summary.
That should have been.
You hang out with this weird
One
fucking
sentence.
kid for
No,
like a month.
we're hanging out with like the weirdest dude ever. And then like after this, we got like a whole string of like John Heder as sort of like a comedy lead. Like we get a whole string of him. Like we get like Blades of Glory, we get
Which is
Benchwarmers.
underrated as hell. Blades
of Glory is really
That
underrated.
movie is hilarious.
And he's solid in that too.
Yeah, he's solid. He makes Benchwarmers too. I don't. The other two
Benchwarmers
guys
suck.
Benchwarmers.
I'm not a fan.
It does suck, but it definitely defined my childhood. Which
That's
is
fair.
oddly enough, this movie. That's kind of been our theme lately. Is movies that defined our childhood. Napoleon Dynamite is definitely one of those two.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like Rob Schneider mostly is just like actively not good in Benchwarmers.
It's also
Like he
when
just should not be in that movie.
when everyone was trying to make Molly Sims a thing.
Yeah.
Rob Schneider's wife. I was like, you're
That
not.
happened.
Yeah. I remember her in the TV show Las Vegas with Josh Duhamel, and I was like, you're not big famous, but he is. And then he did Transformers like a year later. It's like, see, I was right. 10-year-old
Married
Fergie.
Fergie.
Married Fergie. Made her
Left
cry.
it got- Yeah.
Pretty sure they got a divorce. But yeah.
Yeah, they did. They did. Though he
And-
did come to her defense after her horrible national anthem.
You know what? When NBA players laugh at you for butchering the national anthem, you know it's pretty bad.
Wait, you want to hear my impression of Fergie doing the national anthem?
Just please do it.
I'll say, can't you see by the dawn's early light was so proudly we hailed as twilight. I'm not gonna stop.
Oh my god, this is wonderful.
Oh my god, how many impersonations do you have?
Now I know why. Now I know why you make everyone say a quote in their best impersonation, because you just judge them at the end of your episodes.
I never get a chance to do it on my own show. It sucks. I should work on my own impressions.
You should just come up with a new quote from every time someone does one on your episode. You just do one of your other favorites,
That's a good point. I should always like do a quote back to them. Yeah.
or just start it off with the quote.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I was gonna try and do one
good-
for
that's
this
a good idea.
movie, but I couldn't think of one. I couldn't. I think I told Jake we were more than meets the eye at the beginning of the Transformers one, but it's stupid. I just try to make it as ridiculous as possible because everything ridiculous just makes me laugh.
Yeah,
kind of like the entire dance sequence of this movie, but does anyone have
Dance
any more
sequence
quotes?
is spectacular.
Oh, we'll get into that.
Oh,
Do we have any more quotes?
yeah. I think I'm done with quotes. I think I'm over my quote quotient. I apologize.
We have like an hour of me messing up with my internet, so you're good. You can now just. Jake, do you have another quote?
No, I don't think I do.
The real moments, the emotional moments of the movie. Is there any?
Oh boy, that's tough. I mean, like I said, nobody smiles. They all look miserable. So it's hard to find a real moment.
I got one. It's Napoleon dead dancing at prom or whatever the dance is. After he just got ditched, you can tell that she's into him and he's into her. And he gives her the weirdest compliment of all time. Like, oh, I really like your sleeves. And they're really puffy. And then he taps her sleeves. And I'm like, this is so awkward. that, and then them playing tetherball at the end. I was like, okay, it's a sweet moment.
That was a nice moment. Yeah.
Also, the LaFonda montage where he pets her foot with his sock. I love
their
that
wedding.
shit.
Speaking of LaFonda, did you guys?
Yeah.
Was it just me, or did you guys think that he was getting catfished?
No, I think that's the idea. I think that's the idea is that you totally think he's getting catfished, and then LaFonda's like freaking awesome. She's like the coolest.
I was not expecting anyone to get off that bus for him. I definitely thought that it was just going to be like, oh, you just sent me a couple $100 for a plane ticket, and thanks.
I think that's the idea. You totally think like he's getting catfished, and then LaFonda's just like the coolest person in this movie.
Yeah,
and like hands Napoleon the cassette tape that like finally gets him up on stage. By the way, this is kind of a side comment, but it really bothers me. The one thing that bothers me about this movie is that there's no defined like time period that it takes place in, because they play music from like the early 80s, and then like Jamiroquai, the song at the end, is from like 2002 or so.
So I did research on this. The guys who made the movie said this is what it was like growing up in a small town Idaho. You were always like 5 to 10 years behind everyone else. So they were in present day 2004, but their fashion statements, well, present day when the movie came out.
Yeah, for sure.
Their fashion statements and everything was from the 90s and late 80s, because that's all they had access to. Because it's like 2004, the internet's still pretty new. Like no one's really got the internet. So you don't get YouTube, you don't get things like that. What really news channels are going to be in rural Idaho? Like they're not going to have a lot of cable. Like I don't think Dish was around yet, so you're not going to have Dish to come out and give you like satellite channels. So like I think it's supposed to be like these people are going nowhere. They're in a small town. They're stuck there. So you're supposed to feel like, why are we so far behind? Because the moment I laugh, because even in 2004, you don't have telephones with cords that went around to 6 different rooms.
No, you had the you had the wireless things in
like,
your house and everything.
You didn't have white computers anymore, like the giant block white computers. Like you still had giant block computers, but they started changing color. They started being a little cooler. Did you have a giant white computer, Jake? Because your thought.
No, I was thinking. I feel like maybe not in 2000. No, maybe I did. I feel like we still had one of those in our house. I mean, we had maybe one or two newer ones, but yeah, maybe
I just
you're
feel
right.
like fashion wise, like things had really moved on. Like I get what they're saying about being stuck in the past, and I think, but I guess that, you know, I guess that's part of what makes this movie like have its own charm, is that it's just kind of stuck in its own world, I guess. But like it doesn't. I can't, like, I have my doubts that like Idaho was actually like that in 2004.
It did seem like a really small town. Because did you guys notice that, like, how spread out everything was? I don't think there was a single scene that had 2 buildings in it. It was like one building in the middle of a field where it was just like nothing all the way to the horizon.
I did notice that like near the school, there's kind of like a cluster of like houses and stuff. But yeah, it does seem like most people live way outside town and stuff.
So it was filmed in Redmond, Idaho, because that's where the director is from, and the writer, his wife, that he met there. And the town is of 5,500 people.
Oh wow!
Okay.
So it was his high school. His high school he went to. All the film, all the scenes of them like in the streets is in Redmond, Idaho. Most of the people are family and friends that they knew from the city. Like the guy that shoots the cow, it was actually his neighbor. So, so
I love that guy.
Yeah. So like, it's just, besides the main cast who are actually actors and actresses, most of the background players are from the town. But also
That's
like
cool.
Summer and that group, they seemed a little more 2000, like up to date with their things. So I think it was like the people that don't have money or like really nerdy or dorky or whatever you want to go with, were the people that were still stuck in 1995. Yeah. I love the snow boots.
That's fair.
Right.
The moon boots.
Moon boots, whatever they were wonderful. Any other emotional moments?
Yeah, no, they're fantastic. Yeah, I mean, we touched on the end. Like honestly, like a little hilarious and then kind of emotional is like when Uncle Rico's totally messing up his life by like like handing out the bust flyers, and then him throwing melons at his uncle. I'm generally like more sad in that scene than I am laughing, just because I'm like, oh God, I don't want Uncle Rico to mess up his life anymore. But I feel like that's emotional for me. That could just be me.
Well, when you put it like that, yes. At this point in the movie, I was like, I don't remember this part. There's a lot of this movie I blocked out, and I now know why, because it's slow. It's weirder than hell. But yeah, no, that is a good one. Yeah. Anything else, Jake?
Maybe one other thing that kind of comes to mind, just like how like stuck in the past Uncle Rico was. Like, he must really hate his life to just like all he talked about was being back in 1984, because that was like as good as it got for him. And then from there on out, he was just like over it.
Well, that's a perfect segue into the next category.
Oh, great.
Golden tickets. What brings you back to this movie?
That's your golden ticket?
Watching Uncle Rico wish for a time machine, buy a time machine, Napoleon use the time machine, and then Uncle Rico come in and tells you, I could told you this not works. And then him walking through the grocery store, grabbing his crotch and like limping throughout the grocery store. I don't remember that.
Napoleon, we can't afford the fun pack.
I laughed so hard. It was like, how do you look at this thing? It was like, this is gonna work. And then wondering how, because Napoleon's walking fine afterwards. Uncle Rico is like severely hurt. Like he just threw out his back.
He probably left it there for so long.
Yeah, I think what we're supposed to assume is that Uncle Rico tried it for way longer.
But yeah,
because he really wants to go back to 1982.
You know what? It might have been that sounds likely to me, but it also seems possible because when Napoleon used it, he was like I assume he was getting electrocuted. When you get electrocuted, your muscles all kind of like tense up. So maybe he just like he tried it alone and got stuck there. And it took every ounce of effort for him to like get over to the plug and unplug it. Maybe. I don't know. Because like he had to beg for Kip to unplug it for him.
It's true. And then Kip just watches.
He just like looks at him and laughs. Oh God.
It's a great scene.
What's your golden ticket moment? What brings you back because you love this movie so much?
So
what like brings me back the most to this movie?
Yeah.
The dance scene. Like probably, right? I mean, it's probably the most iconic scene of this movie, right?
Yeah. That, and also like I told my sister we were playing Tony Hawk earlier, and I think Jake was finishing up watching the movie. But Don, that whole dance scene, Don being so proud that he's dating Summer and like popping out his shirt, sitting in this dance, backing up. I remember being 10 and me like, look at this guy, this dude sucks. And I was talking about it with my sister, and she was like, "Oh, I don't remember liking that movie." I was like, "Do you remember laughing at Dawn?" She's like, "Who's Dawn?" And I immediately started reenacting him in the chair, and she just lost it. She goes, "Oh my God!" Yes.
He literally is the only one standing up, clapping for her.
Yeah,
and he's like,
so proud. Or when Napoleon's dance is going on, he's like, oh, "This guy, like, what does this guy think he is?" And then everyone cheering for Napoleon at the end of it. And then he's just like, "Are you guys high? Like, what are you guys looking at?" Like, it's probably one of the best things I've watched.
Don is great. Don is amazing in this.
He's
like super underrated. Like, yeah, I mean, there's so many side characters in this that just like fill out the world of this small town. I mean, like him and the farmer for me just like take me every time.
That is the nastiest looking.
Oh my God. Can you imagine
lunch.
Just like 6 different forms of eggs for lunch?
Nope, I'm not eating. There was too many flies. My high school was by a dairy, and there's just flies constantly. Like we used to get extra credit for killing flies in class.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. Me and Carver, Jake, the friend that you've met, had a contest one day of how many flies we can kill in our English class. We were at 15 before the teacher told us to sit back down and that we couldn't do it anymore.
Oh my God.
He broke her fly swatter. She had a fly swatter in class. He slapped the fly so hard before I could get it. He snapped the fly swatter on my desk. And he just stopped and stared at me. And then, yeah, it was.
The teacher's like, no, you can't do this shit anymore.
So, like, this teacher should have been like a fifth grade elementary school teacher. Like, she should not have been a high school English teacher. But our parents went to back to school night and they talked the whole entire time. And then she, like, told them to stop talking. And then we showed up to class that next day and we were talking throughout her, like, instructions. And she
apple didn't fall far from the tree.
Legit is what she said. Well, I know which two parents were your parents last night. And I was like, thanks, Dad. This lady hates me now.
That's hilarious.
That's great.
She was one.
That's amazing.
Jake, what brings you back? Or what won't bring you back?
It is by far what would bring me back to this movie was the 2 tetherball scenes.
Oh,
Especially the one where he was playing by himself and just like he was going ham on that thing, just like karate chopping and jumping, and he was really pounding the crap out of that ball.
he's like really like trying to impress people around him all
by
the time.
playing tetherball by himself. Everyone
It's
else
so
is
charming.
like playing basketball. And
No
he's just over
one's
there,
looking at him, and he's like, huh.
like jumping and hitting it in the air. It's hilarious. And then he did the same thing when he played against Deb at the end.
And she just
Like
ducks.
going ham, and she was just standing there like, "Oh, I'm not getting in the way of this."
Yeah, you want to play some tetherball, and then just like destroys her. It's so funny.
Any other golden ticket moments? I gotta say how quotable it is.
Yeah,
Has to-
that's got to be up there. Yeah,
Because
How quotable. Yeah.
this movie is stupid, yet we've sat here for 20 minutes laughing at every quote.
Oh, it's laughable.
Also-
for sure.
Also, like there's and then somehow like 2 of the scenes that are like the most iconic for me. I mean, the dance scene obviously like has no quotes in it, and then the one that people forget about is this "Someday Love." It is a riv. I love that whole thing that where he's like he gets so into the butterfly, gets so into it.
Oh my god,
That makes me so happy. That definitely. Happy Hands Club.
That's coming up in a later category.
Happy Hands Club.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Honestly, the epilogue too. Are we talking about the epilogue later?
The epilogue, the beginning.
I mean, like the after credits. The after credits.
Oh, you can bring it up now. I didn't know that was in it. I honestly,
I didn't know until my girlfriend told me.
Yeah, him riding in on the horse and he's looking like he's about to fall off the entire time.
He totally. I totally thought he was gonna fall off.
I was like, this is like watching it for the first time all over again. I'm like, what the hell am I watching? And it's like, oh yeah, like, I just broke this Bronco out in the field, so you guys had a honeymoon stallion or whatever he says. It's like, you serious right now? Like, you had this skill? Like, he talks about not having any skills and then you could dance and break in a horse. Like, that's pretty much, I'd brag about those.
Yeah, seriously.
I think it is to be assumed that he didn't break in this, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. I also Kip's song in that like just literally kills me. The "Why do you love me always and forever?" That whole I always whenever like I'm on my laptop too much, I do like the thing to my girlfriend. I do I still love technology, not as much as you see.
The best part is LaFonda's like
forever.
brother,
I love
like
that.
shaking his head.
LaFonda's brother's like, what the fuck did she get into? Oh my god! I love that wedding.
And her parents are like pretty happy for her, but he's just like, what the hell is this dude?
Apparently, they filmed that like way after the movie. Like they shot the movie, and then when it was going into distribution, they like got the cast back together and brought them back to Idaho to shoot that scene.
You can tell because Napoleon's wig is a little off. Like it's not stuck
the
to his
hair's
head
weird.
right. Yeah. I noticed that. I was like, I wonder if this was filmed later.
Yeah, the hair is weird. Though I have for most of the movie, he has a perm. Like it's his actual hair with a perm.
That's what threw it off. Is you could tell it was his actual hair, and then that scene, you could tell he's like, I'm not
It was a
doing this
wig
again.
later.
Want some cheese for the cheesiest line of the movie? Everything that Kip says, everything. There is not one thing I didn't think of. Like, oh my god, Kip, you are cheesy as hell. When he's bowling And he's like, yeah, bounce off that bumper, whatever he's saying as he's
Yes.
yeah, and then yes, that or
Every time any Napoleon or Kip, yes, they both did that. It always made me bust up.
that I think
Always kills me.
I need you to give me a lift into town, and then them riding their bike.
Oh my god!
The best part of this is
It'd be cool if you dragged me into town.
me and my sister used to do this on our bikes, but we're 10 and 13 years old.
Yeah, but that wasn't your mode of transportation.
No, we would go around our cul-de-sac and we'd have a ramp and we'd go jump off the ramp on our skates, and then we'd practice our skiing and our wakeboarding on the back of this with our skateboard and skis, thinking that we were super cool. And then we saw it in this movie, and then we were so pumped that we saw it and we thought of something before it. But we're probably realizing that every kid in America at one point or another was like, hey, let's tie a rope to the back of a bike and see how fast we can go.
Yeah, I'm sure. I definitely tried that as a kid for sure.
So plot hole. He lives on a gravel road. Like the shot that they show of him in town, he's on a paved road, but he lives on a gravel road. That is not going to work with rollerblades.
I feel like that's why he's getting a lift into town. Because he's just holding back. He's just sitting really far back. Napoleon's giving him a
he's
ride.
He's just leaning back, and Napoleon's like...
And he's they're bouncing over everything, and then they make.
Do you think it's going to work on a gravel road?
I feel like, oddly enough, random kids from Idaho who have probably done that 100 times are probably decently good at knowing how it's going to feel. Because I feel like the skate wheels are big enough where it's not going to jam. Like, it could possibly a rock get stuck up and jam them. Riding a skateboard where you hit that one pebble that feels like it's a giant boulder and you just go flying and the board stays behind you.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah.
You might just like slide through it though. Like, I don't know. It would probably take a lot of pedaling on the behalf of the biker.
That's
really
true.
have to put some effort into it. That's a good point though. I didn't even notice that.
Is now a good time to bring up my biggest plot hole, or should we go? We should go into like cheese first, right? We're doing
cheesiest lines of the movie.
Cheesiest lines of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we kind of touched on them with. Yeah. Sorry.
Uncle Rico getting the girl at the end is a cheesy line as hell.
Yeah.
I don't know who that was or why she came riding up on her bike, but he does not deserve a happy ending.
I was saying the same thing. I was talking to Paige. I was just like, he does not deserve this. Like, I don't need to see this. I'm not sympathetic towards him at all. Like, he could be playing football in the field alone again for all I care. I'm glad he got his arm broken. Deserved that shit.
Watching him throw with his left arm was like watching him throw with his right arm. It was just equally as bad.
I was gonna say it wasn't really any worse.
True. Very true.
Any other cheesy lines?
I mean, like I think we touched on this the shit that Kip says. Yeah, I mean Kip's like the romantic here, so like everything that he says about like I guess things are getting pretty serious, like all those things. Like
what happened to you and Tammy? As he's sitting there with his strawberry milkshake, eating it with a spoon.
Or when Uncle
kills me.
His uncle asked him about like, do you pay by the hour to use the internet? He's like, yeah. Grandma gets mad at me because I'll spend like 3 or 4 hours on there. It gets pretty expensive.
It's like, yeah, I'd be mad too. Oh, it's pretty funny.
All right, for your biggest plot hole. Goes in this category. If we're going to be stupid, let's be smart about it. What's your biggest plot hole?
Okay. Why does Deb forgive him? So let's just go through the timeline of this. So Uncle Rico.
Yeah.
Uncle Rico goes to her like photo booth thing and gets like borderline pedo on her.
Not borderline. That was straight up weird.
Yeah. No, that was weird.
So yeah, really weird on her, and says Napoleon thinks you need giant tits and hands her this flyer. And then she calls him because she's like pissed because she's like, why would you tell your uncle that I need these? But then so she's mad at him, and Napoleon's like, pretty much my life's ruined now. And then he goes and dances on stage, and then just through the sheer power of his dancing, I guess, she starts to smile and like is really happy for him despite not ever resolving that difficulty in their relationship.
Yeah, that bothered me a lot too. So they just like never talked about it. It's just like,
I feel like they could have chatted about it at the tetherball scene just briefly, just to like get that out of the way.
Yeah, like
But-
I didn't say that. My uncle did. He's an idiot. I threw a melon at his car, and she'd be like, "Okay, cool. You're a really good dancer."
Yeah, that would have been all I needed, just like that line, totally.
So this is the reason why. Because she realized him dancing, that he would not say something like that, because he genuinely went out there without knowing that they had to do a skit when it was supposed to be Pedro, and he did all that for his friend. Why would he say something so hurtful to her that she needed a boob job?
Yeah, that's kind of how I took it. She kind of put two and two together, but it also does seem like almost as bold of an assumption as trusting the uncle in the
Yes.
first place.
This is
Yes, very, very bold assumption.
going back a ways to our High School Musical podcast, Jake, where we talked
I
about
need to
how
hear this.
it's one of my all-time favorite movies, and I am not ashamed of it whatsoever. we might do a High School Musical episode once a year. But going back to Zac Efron and Vanessa Ann Hutchins breaking up in that movie, and it's like we realized it's over a 2-week period and their day's just ruined. This could have been the next day, and in high school, your life's perfectly back to normal.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it.
Yeah.
The immaturity of being a high school kid.
Yeah, he just now became the most popular guy in school for like a week.
That's true.
Because he just did these rad dance moves. She's like, I'm gonna claim that. He likes me. I'm claiming it. So
Yeah.
that's my logical answer, and the best answer I think we've ever had to. If we're gonna be stupid, but let's be smart about it, because it's literally the name of the category for that reason. Next one.
Yeah,
Is Uncle
solid.
Rico the reason the Jaguars hired Urban Meyer? Because him and Gardner Minshew looks the exact same, so I just had to throw in Urban Meyer.
Shit. Shots fired.
Is he? Oh,
I'm gonna say yes. I have nothing to back that up, but I'm just gonna say yes.
all right.
Jake?
No, I want no part of that. That's ridiculous.
It's just a hunch.
Well,
Oh God, Mason, where do you come up with this stuff?
I sit down and I stare at a screen and I watch a movie and then I go, "What's the most unrealistic?"
Did you pull
question?
up some Jaguar film and confirm that?
Well, I Googled on YouTube because, like we've already mentioned with this podcast, I don't like to read. So, like,
Of course not.
if people are going to do the reading for me and give me the facts, I'll just take their facts and be like, hey, I got it from this guy. That being said, I Googled Napoleon Dynamite and they did the ESPN special of Uncle Rico and Gardner Minshew side by side. And I was like, he's the reason that.
Wait, they
Urban
did
Meyer-
that on ESPN?
Oh, yeah. Go look it up. It's hilarious. Gardner
Oh my
Minshew.
God. Okay, I want to see that.
He has a creepy mustache that looks just like Uncle Rico, and I was like, oh, that's why Urban Meyer got hired. And I was like, I'm gonna ask it because
Oh
why
my
not?
God.
Next question:
Love
why did this movie become a cultural phenomenon? Kind of talked about it earlier, but I wanted to bring it up now.
Quotes. I think just like The Office, it's had a long life in just the meme world, just because it has so many like things you can make into GIFs, just like the dances and like the yes thing. I use
I-
that one all the time.
Constantly.
It's just a great like subtle celebration. No, I mean, like I think the internet has like extended the life of this movie tremendously just because it's very memeable.
That's a good point.
I also always remember it being on MTV. Like you'd go to MTV and it was always on. So I feel like that might have been another reason for it.
Totally
It's
a factor for sure.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I think it's just the quotability and maybe even the uniqueness is a factor, but definitely the quotes. That's what sticks around.
would you guys consider this a cult classic? Because
100%.
so isn't a cult something that's supposed to, like a cult classic? My interpretation was always like people missed it and then later on it became huge. With this one, everything I researched, it was kind of huge right off the bat.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But I mean 40 to 50 million at the box office is big, but you think about like the movie 2012 made like 800 million at the box office. Like which movie do people talk about more? Like there's still like 40 million isn't that much, and it's very much just like actively in the cultural like zeitgeist to this day. You know what I mean? I feel
Fair
like that
enough.
matters.
I know the profit of it is just massive from the $400,000 budget to $45 million at the box. That's a huge success. Like that's over, I don't know the math, Jake, you're the math guy. That's like quadruple the budget, isn't it?
That's
Sorry, what did you say the profit was?
Yeah.
that's around 100x.
Yeah. So it was 40 and above $45 million and the budget was 400,000.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just over 100x.
It's just I felt like that's huge and people would talk about it and then it was like the DVD sales was another 150 million.
Totally. But
Yeah.
like all that I think matters. Like to me, like a cult classic is just, it's something that like it becomes more relevant over time. And I think this movie became more relevant over time. Like even more than the 45 million that it made, if that makes sense.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Mason. It is
But I think you
obviously
bring up a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an incredible profit, but just from sheer mass of people who went and saw it, that's probably not super high compared to other movies.
That's fair.
Even though it didn't cost them hardly anything to make, it's still not like an insane amount of tickets that were sold to watch it.
Yeah, that's fair. I always just think of like it being like Donnie Darko or Hot Rod, whereas like they do absolutely terrible at the box office, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, "Hey, this movie's great! Like, why did we miss it?"
Pop Star Never Stop Popping.
Oh yeah, that's
Another Andy Samberg classic. Yeah.
We have done that one, and we
Oh yeah.
we literally
I gotta listen to a lot of your shows. Shit. Yeah.
literally what we did is what we did for the first 35 minutes of this one, where we just quoted the entire movie, but it's an hour long of us quoting the movie.
That's fun. That's a good time.
Would people actually cheer for Napoleon's dance?
Absolutely.
100%.
I was watching it, and my first thought was like, no one would cheer for this, and then I was like, who am I kidding? It's a bunch of 17-year-old assholes. We're all cheering for this no matter what.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because think about, obviously Napoleon got over it, but I mean, I kind of mentioned this earlier with nobody smiling. Everybody is like so self-conscious in this movie. Like Kip, when he gets beat up at that self-defense class, I don't know if you guys noticed, he went and sat down next to Napoleon and just looked straight down at the ground. All these like main characters are just like looking down at the ground all the time and like are embarrassed to exist, basically.
I think that's a good point. And you finally get the moment where like your main character, like someone in the school, like fully expresses himself,
Yeah.
like no shame. Like he's dancing in his room.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the kid that everyone
He's
in high
tearing up the
school
stage.
looks up to because they all wish they could do what he just did.
Yeah,
That's a
and
really good point.
that is. And now that thinking about it, when they're like, it's him just dancing by himself, they don't ever really show the crowd during the entire dance.
Not really, yeah. Pretty
It's
much
just-
They
just,
cut back to Summer and they cut back to Deb.
yeah, it's mostly just a couple people.
Yeah.
Slight nitpick there. The crowd takes a second to like erupt in applause, and I feel like they'd just be really getting into it as the song's going instead of just being like
Probably.
totally silent and then I feel like it made
Yeah.
for a better moment to like build up the suspense for the audience, but they'd be getting into it as it was going. I
They
think.
would, yeah, for sure. You're right. I think it was just a cinematic suspense building
Yeah.
thing to just
Yeah,
wait
it
and
was
have
for
them
the-
erupt afterward.
I
Yeah,
think,
exactly.
I think it was such a what the fuck did we just watch movie.
Yeah, that could be part of it too.
Their brains just had to process it for a second. Was like, oh, this is this is amazing, and then they started cheering.
Yeah.
Also, how did we miss? I've been practicing my rad dance moves with the most aggressive drink of Gatorade of all time. That's like one of the best moments of the movie. Why are you all sweaty?
Oh
I've
my
been
God.
practicing my rad dance moves. And then he just throws his head back. It's not even like a natural way to drink Gatorade.
Just like, not only that, just
Oh,
like,
God.
it's almost like he's sucking it out of the bottle.
Oh, it's so bad.
Uh,
Oh, it's so epic.
Would you call home to have someone bring you chapstick?
no.
So
that is ridiculous.
So what I think is that I mean he just like he'd had a horrible day. He'd had a horrible day. Like this guy was beating him up at his locker, and I think he just wants to like escape from like the bullies.
Yeah.
That was my impression. And so he's like, "Oh, I'm feeling really sick." And like, it's like, can you bring, he's trying to come up with an excuse to like get out of school, I think. But it's a horrible excuse. I don't know. That was my impression.
I
Yeah.
never related more to a scene in a movie than not wanting to borrow the nurse's chapstick from
Oh,
her.
I would absolutely rather have chaps lips. That's disgusting.
I didn't write that down, but I literally thought of it right now. I was like, how did I not write this down? I hate, like, I have chapstick currently. I don't even borrow anyone's chapstick with this where you can like wipe your finger on it. I don't want anything to do with it. It's gross. It's weird.
Yeah, I agree.
Girls in high school used to use their hair and they just cut off the top. I was like, that doesn't do anything. Germs are still germs.
Their hair.
Yeah, they'd use their hair.
Why do they get their hair into it?
I don't know.
That's grody.
I'm from this town. All right?
I'd rather use the chapstick than put my freaking hair into it.
It was just they just slide off the top, use it like a
yeah.
It was gross. It's just
That
it's
is
just
weird.
Sterile.
Just sharing chapstick with
That's
people
probably
is
not
just
any
weird.
cleaner than just
That's what
using
I'm
the
thinking.
chapstick.
Unless you're like it's a significant other, or like I guess if you're a kid and it's like your mom, it's not weird. But like over the age of the 13, like borrowing anyone else's chapstick unless it's your significant other, it's just weird. And if you borrow someone's chapstick, I'm sorry I offended you.
Oh, I mean, like I feel like I might borrow someone's chapstick, and like again, like I'm like again considering leaving this podcast early. You guys have deeply hurt me.
Is Rex the most badass character of this movie just because of his pants? I loved his pants, and how many American flags were in the background of his karate dojo or whatever it was just amazing.
My 6-week program.
Wasn't it so like isn't it a week in the commercial and then he gets there and it's like an 8-week program for like $400?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I think in the commercial he said like come in for one free lesson, and that was the free lesson, was basically a sales pitch.
Yeah, the free lesson was him just like beating up Kip, and then Kip was like, that was a ripoff. I like how the free class is a ripoff.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that always gets me.
He had to get pulled all the way into town on his skates through a gravel road.
Totally.
That's a ripoff.
Yeah.
That's a high price to pay. I'd rather pay $300.
Yeah.
Did your guys' high school have a Happy Hands Club? And
No.
if so, what is the Happy Hands Club?
Sign language, but also dancing.
Yeah, that was
because they also dance. They're sign language dancers. That's what I've put together. But you're right. I've not thought much about like the meaning of the Happy Hands Club.
I was
it
watching
sounded to me like a massage parlor with some shady stuff going on.
That is what it sounds like.
That's where Robert Kraft went in Florida.
Happy Hands Club. God. Oh boy.
Oh shit.
Oh,
that's funny.
What's the caucus? What's a caucus?
Isn't it your butt?
I don't know. He just said your grandma broke her caucus, and I was like, "What's a caucus?" It's something I didn't want to Google it because I thought
it's like how they vote in Iowa, but like that's definitely not what they're referring to here.
Didn't even think of that. Oh,
I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, I think the idea though is that it's maybe not a thing. They don't seem very like medically educated.
No,
that's fair.
Or any other type for that matter.
Are there sand dunes in Idaho? Because that's kind of threw me off.
This is a good question.
Has anyone been to Idaho?
In the far southern part of Idaho, that's basically Southern California, yes.
Fair enough.
Idaho does not.
No, I'm kidding.
Border.
It's not a thing. I know. That was the joke.
So
I was just gonna agree with it.
I'm aware.
That's a me problem. No, I've been.
My
to
geography's
Utah,
not that bad.
Okay, I was concerned. No, I had a roommate. Like, I went to school in Tacoma. He's like, "What state are we in?" He's like, "What state do you think we're in?" He's like, "Oregon." I was like, "Oof."
What?
Like, and we've been there for like and we've been there for like 2 years too.
Wait,
I was
how
just
does a person live somewhere for 2 years and not know what state they're in?
I know. It was very concerning.
You know,
he also was trying to figure out like which direction we were from LA, which is where he was from. He like was really bad with
what?
It was bad. It was like really bad.
It's all right. Do you think he could identify if you showed him the outline of the United States? Could he identify that it was the United States?
I think he'd identify that it was the United States. I don't think he could tell me where he was in the United States.
Oh no.
Well, there's only two sides because he's close to water.
It's true. It's a good point. It's a good point.
We had a girl in our dorm. She said dinosaurs weren't real.
Yeah, that's right. She thought it was a giant conspiracy that someone went around and hid fossils all over the world to convince people that dinosaurs were a thing.
How some people get into college blows my mind.
I think they're onto us. I should probably stop. I should probably be a little more subtle with my fossil hiding.
Stop scattering fossils.
Just like the pandemic is just to replace the battery in the birds. It's not real.
Don't trust the pigeons.
What's the worst job you've ever had? And is it worse than putting chicken in cages?
I'm definitely gonna say no. I haven't had that many bad jobs. Shit. I mean, like I've done bad tasks for jobs. You know, like I've, like, you know, like cleaned bathroom. Like I've done like deep bathroom cleans, like shit like that isn't fun. You know, but like I've never had a job that's as bad as like putting chickens with large talons in cages.
Yeah, I never have had to encounter talons.
Yeah, I'm not a big talon guy. Well, clearly Mason isn't either. Because he doesn't know what talons were.
Oh, I know. I was a 10-year-old Mason did not know what talons were. 10-year-old Mason and 26-year-old Mason have a lot in common. We didn't like to read, so if it was in a book, we weren't going to learn what talons were. And there's like a 95% chance I read what talons were and I pronounced it wrong. Because that is something I do. Like if you looked up how I spelled caucus, I literally put cock I is, and it was like, I'm reading it off, and I know.
That's pretty bad.
No. So
I found some dunes in Idaho, by the way. I just wanted you to know.
Oh, great.
Oh, see, this is why we invited you on, because I knew you totally do research on the side.
Live research. They're called the Saint Anthony sand dunes.
Ah,
good to know.
Well, they're dangerous, apparently.
Apparently. Stay away.
Caucus.
Yeah.
So I only have one.
Keep your caucus out of there.
I only have one job I can think is kind of bad. And that was having to pick up trash at a minor league baseball game field.
Ooh.
After the next morning, which half the reason it was bad is because I was 21 years old in college and it was summer and I wasn't in school. So I was also hungover in the morning. But I clearly remember one morning I went and they had a barbecue set up and those bags were always incredibly heavy and then they would leak. And I was very hungover.
Garbage juice is like one of the worst things.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. And then we had to throw it up into a giant like construction dumpster. You understand where this is going.
It flings? Did you break the bag?
No, kind of.
Ugh.
I was walking because like I opened up the gates because they were just all throwing them over the top. And I was like, this is too much effort. So I just opened up the gate and I was like, we'll just work back to front and just stack it all. So I was taking it out of the gator cart that we were in and I took it out and I went to go push it forward and my whole arm just goes into the bag and I have rotten hamburger, old fruit and vegetables,
melted ice cream
all in my hands. It reeked. I pulled my hand out and immediately threw up in the trash can from just the feeling of everything, the smell. It's like 6:30 in the morning. And the guy
that was way more vivid than I expect you to go there.
I told you. I'm on a full night of sleep.
Hopefully nobody's listening to this episode while hungover and imagining those things.
Had a bunch of caffeine in me. I'm ready to go. But yeah, and the guy just sat there and laughed at me and then took a big video of it on Snapchat and then sent it to everyone as I'm just like, what the hell? Just like dying in the dumpster by myself. And he just thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
Oh, geez. Oh, that's great. That's lovely.
It's not, but it's a great story. But at the time I was not happy. Is there any other nitpicks or questions that we have about the movie?
Oh, I had one and I lost it.
Did you guys miss the maps in the back that they had on the board where they pulled down. It was like the 4-layer maps where you're like, oh, here's the top.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
that's I was like, oh, that was kind of cool. That's a little throwback. That was.
I love I love like all the things you can see in the background. I love there's a headshot that they have up like in Napoleon Dynamite's house where it's like his face like, and then there's another like face of it where it's like facing the other way. I need to see if I can find this.
I did not notice that.
Funny. No, I gotta find this. Oh shit.
Do you think you can rip Tupperware in half? That's a random one I just thought of. I don't think I could rip
that's a good
Tupperware
question.
in half.
I don't think so, but I think that's part of like his whole shtick is like no one can really rip Tupperware.
Maybe if you got
and he's
the
like, "Look
like
at us fries."
cheapest Tupperware you can get, maybe it's thin enough, but that seems
Yeah.
pretty unlikely. That seems tough. And did you see the look that guy's wife gave him after he couldn't rip the Tupperware in half?
She was so disappointed.
Like he was such a weak
Oh
dude.
my god,
like-
it was the I want that lady too. Yeah, she like looks so disappointed.
yeah, like
So
wow, I
great.
can't believe you can't tear this Tupperware in half.
Oh my god.
I
All right.
found I found it, but I don't know how to like send this to you guys.
Take a picture of it on your phone.
Can you share your
Yeah,
screen?
then I'll text it.
Is that a thing that you have the
Yeah,
ability
I
to do?
can do that. Maybe.
Oh, I guess I can because
Um,
I'm recording.
I wonder
yeah.
if it'll show up in the recording.
Go
I'll
ahead.
just I'll send you guys a picture.
Well, I'd let you. You can screen share if you'd like.
Oh, okay.
I just gave you permission because I'm in charge.
View desktop. Thank you.
Ooh.
Oh,
Okay, so can you see my screen?
that is not Napoleon.
Oh.
On the
It's
left.
it's this one. Oh yeah, that's Summer. But it's this one. It's this one where he's like facing the two different ways.
Oh
You might have, you might have to
Where
cut
did he
this off
get
of the
that?
podcast.
Oh, God.
I don't know, but it's like above him in the house. I just like it's in the background of some of these scenes.
Oh.
I just love this picture.
Speaking of that, is that suit a lady's suit? Because it was on a lady mannequin.
This suit?
Yeah,
I think
is he
so.
wearing
I think so.
Is he pulling a Michael Scott and wearing a woman's suit?
I totally think he's wearing a woman's suit. Yeah,
Oh man, look at all these. This is just great. That was
they're so great.
Well, check this out on YouTube where you can actually see the screenshot of it.
yeah. Oh, that's
Oh yeah,
true.
I hope people are able to see that.
I don't know. Jake's gonna have more fun with the video than I'm gonna have with the audio.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm so sorry, you guys.
That's not your fault. It's mine.
Don't be.
Yeah,
It's
well,
payback
my
for what
fault.
we did to your podcast the other day.
All right, let's
True.
rate this movie. So here's our rating system. I don't know if I sent
Yeah.
you a screenshot, but
You did.
I'll just explain it to everyone anyway, because that's what a good host does. Our highest rank, the best possibility you can give the movie is instant classic. You want to show it to everyone you see. The next one down is you'll buy it in a bargain bin. Most people don't buy movies anymore. You just stream it. But like if you ran across it, you're like, oh, hey, $5, I'll buy this movie. Next one is I would go out of my way to stream it just because I feel like that's a good deal to watch a movie. It's in the middle.
Right.
Next one down is if my remote died on whatever I'm using and the movie happened to come on, I'm going to leave it on. And then our last one, something that's never been rated, and it's kind of the point of why I made it so brutal, is I'd rather watch paint dry. The movie's terrible. I would not watch it again. So as our guest, Ethan, how would you rank this movie?
I have a feeling I'm the only one that's gonna go for like 5 instant classic. This is just like this is an all timer. It's just straight up like all the way through an all timer. I just like I love every moment of it. It can get me in a better mode like no matter where I start from. So yeah, it's absolutely an instant classic, and probably like one of those like tests where like you want to see if this like new friend is cool enough, you know.
This is the
Throw on
movie.
Napoleon Di-
This
No,
is the
I mean
movie.
this isn't the movie, but it's like one of those movies where if someone really hated it, I'd be like concerned.
That's fair. Jake, what about you?
I think this is kind of a hard one to put into one of these categories because I think it's heavily dependent on the mood that you're in that day or that given moment. I think so. I will admit, you know, I mean, I feel like it's obvious at this point. I was laughing a lot throughout this whole movie. There's a lot of just hilarious lines and hilarious scenes, but it's also really stupid. I at times felt dumber for having laughed at it.
Fair.
But it is funny. I certainly think it's funny. So I think if I'm in the mood for that just kind of dumb, brainless comedy, it's got to be up there in the Insta Classic or maybe buying a bargain bin. But if you're not, I think the only way I would watch it is if the batteries came on my batteries died on my remote and it auto played and I was too lazy to change the channel.
So you have to be in the mood.
Yeah, you have to. If you're in the mood, it's an Insta Classic. If you're not, it's only if the batteries are dead.
So I'm gonna give this the same rating I did Land of the Lost, where I watched it and we did
It's a much better movie. The fuck? You put this in Land of the Lost.
I wish Tyler was here to argue this.
Yeah, so
that is Tyler's favorite movie.
Yeah, Tyler's favorite movie is Land of the Lost.
Oh my god!
But I watched Land of the Lost kind of the same way I watched Napoleon Dynamite. I was like, this movie's so stupid. Why is this like? Why does one Tyler like it, and two for this one? It was like, why does everyone like this movie? And then we started talking about it. I don't know how long we've been going, but like it's been a long time. And we've literally quoted the entire movie and I haven't stopped laughing. So I got to go with, I would stream it, but only with a group of friends for that reason. It'd be a great time to all sit around, have some drinks, quote the movie, laugh at how ridiculous the scenes are. And then all the boring parts, we just ignore and start talking. And then you're like, oh, Kip's about to speak again. He's about to do the yes. And then we'd all stop and pay attention. And then we'd go on for the day again. So that's how
I think that's a good way to put it.
Might be a good background movie. It's like up there for like top background movies.
It has so many great moments, but as a whole, there's literally no plot. And I've realized I need somewhat of a plot.
Yeah, there's no plot. There's some character development, but it's not anything crazy.
Can I derail this?
Yeah,
for like a second. You got me thinking about like background movies. So like what other movies could you just like throw on in the background? Like I'll name other, like Mamma Mia is just a great background movie. You can totally just like have that on, kind of like dance around a little bit. Maybe I'm on my own on this one. Solid movie.
No, ABBA fucks. And I stand by that statement. Okay. And if you're
glad we can agree with it.
If you're ever missing like a moment, like, hey, I need to talk about Mamma Mia, just hit me up and I'd be like, yeah, I'll go sit down and watch Mamma Mia.
I got your number now, so this is great.
Yeah, no, literally, if you're like, this movie is ridiculous, there's a very high chance I've seen it, and you're like, hey,
for sure.
We did Fast and Furious. I thought was one of them.
Background movie. Okay, I can see that.
There's a lot of good scenes. Transformers was another one because I could ignore the first half of Transformers and then the moment.
Yeah, and then you can kind of get into like the exciting parts without like thinking about the plot too much.
Yeah, like this movie and Transformers fit in the same of when I'm 12, I understand why I like it. And then the 12-year-old moments come up in this movie and I'm like, I'm still 12. Same with Transformers. Yeah. The moment Optimus Prime like skates and turns into a robot and starts punching guys on the freeway, my brain shut off and I was like, I'm all for this.
Yeah.
But up until that point, it's like, this movie sucks. So that's one. I think we said Happy Gilmore was another one. It's a great background one.
I feel that. Yeah.
It's kind of been every movie we've done on this podcast.
I think another one which we haven't done, which hopefully we do someday, is Step Brothers.
Step Brothers is a good one in the background.
That's a good one. That's a good one that I think I could laugh from the other room just hearing the lines in the background. The only scene that you have to go watch is when he's rubbing his balls all over the drums.
That's true. That's true. I think I would push back slightly on like Step Brothers and like the same with like a movie like Die Hard, because like a background movie can never be too engaging. Because otherwise it becomes like not a background movie.
See, that's what when we did the episode with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
We watched it every Christmas. It's our tradition. We watch it Christmas morning. So it's literally our background movie. And we're like, oh, wait, he's about to fall down the elevator. And we'd stop and watch the scene.
No, I'm always so engaged with that movie every time I watch it. So,
and he even said it with us, like, it is a great movie. And it's easily a movie that you can do both with, where I believe you can sit down.
I feel that.
Yeah. We laughed at, like, we hated the scenes where John's picking out the glass out of his foot. We're like, oh my God, just get back to the action. The movie's almost done. Where when you've seen it for 15 years in a row on Christmas, you know what's coming. So you're not totally. You're like, all right, I just want to see everything blow up at the end so we can just talk about how unrealistic this is. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
But the moment we watched it for this, both of us were like, I forgot how important that scene is. Like, we've just watched it to be like, watch things blow up. So.
Okay, fair enough. That works then.
I guess Christmas Story is also like the ultimate background movie. because literally TBS and TNT, for as long as I can remember, is like, hey, we're just gonna put this on for 24 hours, and you can just leave it on in the background.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Those are all solid picks.
There's got to be other. It's anything that's a dumb action movie. Just it has zero plot, and it's just watching things blow up, and you're like, ooh, I like this scene. Like Fast Five would be another great one.
Yeah, see, those are not the kind of movies I can have on in the background. I get too distracted by them. I just get so like entranced by what's going on that
I also think it has to be a movie that you generally know the plot to.
That's true. Because
that's probably true. You have
it
to
has
have
to be a
seen it.
movie that you've seen, but you don't. But it can't be a favorite in my mind. It can't be to me. It can't be a favorite because otherwise, I'm just like I'm all in on it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
500 Days of Summer is another good one in the background.
That's solid.
Yeah, where like I don't love that movie, but I've seen it enough times where like I like it unless I know what's coming up, so you can like skip parts you don't like.
Yeah. That's like my girlfriend's dad with the remote. Like every time I'm watching a movie, he just like has it in his hand. He's like, and then like TiVo's ahead, like like slows down again. It's like,
Jake, how did we forget RoboCop? That is the ultimate background movie. Like, yeah,
solid.
Yeah, because there's a lot of scenes in there that are like, what are we watching?
Yeah, and it's really dumb. That's a great movie though. We should just do the whole.
I have a slightly more obscure one, but a great background movie, True Lies.
Oh, True Lies is a
I don't
great
know that
one. That isn't it James Cameron? I know it's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
James Cameron, yeah. Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis and James Cameron. I feel like that's like one of those movies you could tune in and out of because there's a lot of slow shit in the middle, but there's some great action scenes. I feel like that's a solid background movie.
Sound of Music. Also, if you want 3 hours long to have a good background music.
I get really into the Sound of Music.
Oh my God. When I bring my sister and my dad on, I'll ask you to come too because they literally sing and dance in our living room to the Sound of Music. You think I'm kidding, but it's like a once a year thing since I was like 8. It's like I don't get it, but all right.
How do you solve a problem like Maria?
So like I'll probably
how do you catch a cloud and pin it down?
If you had to do another episode with us, what movie would you pick? Or what movie would you like to see us cover?
What movie would I like to see you cover? I feel like it sounds like you've done a lot of these like gosh, I don't know. What movies like just like batshit crazy? That's a good question. Shit. I gotta think.
Take your time. We did Alien and Aliens, which
okay.
I want to redo both of them, especially the Aliens, just because we didn't have our set schedule down of how we do everything. So I feel like we missed a lot, but we all liked the movie, but we're just like, we don't know what to say besides we liked it. And then Alien was one that we were all like, we understand why this is a classic, but like it's aged so much. And that was all of our first time seeing it. And then like I went on a rant about I don't get how Ripley like gets into an astronaut suit and hides from the xenomorph sitting in the cabinet staring right at her.
That's fair.
Yeah. And apparently I was on one for that episode because
I love Alien, but I can understand it's weird to get into, and especially like if you're kind of expecting more of especially if you're expecting more of an actiony thing, it's like not really. It kind of throws you off.
Yeah, I want to do Hereditary with Jake because that
would be solid.
Jake hates horror movies, but I also have to watch it with Jake because that's like 95% of my enjoyment with watching Hereditary.
Also, I actually think a True Lies podcast would be really solid. There's a lot to cover in that movie. There's like a lot there's a lot of like weird questions. And
the whole hotel room scene.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Yeah. That would be a really solid movie. Any of those like kind of Schwarzenegger comedy-ish ones.
Yeah.
Like Total Recall as well. Though I think not that many people have seen Total Recall.
That's one. I wanted to do Terminator 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then The Ringer's Rewatchables. I don't know if you listen to that.
Their podcast. I listened to a few of those.
They just did it this week, and I was like, oh, damn, I can't do those. I really want to do Rocky 4. Rocky movies are one of my favorites, so we're going to do Rocky 4 at some point.
For sure. I mean, like Heat is like their number one like rewatch. You could totally do a Heat podcast, like 100%. A lot of those Michael Mann ones. I mean, Collateral. I just saw Thief, which is like super solid.
I watched Heat for the first time because of them. Like they were kind of like the inspiration of like, just be myself and just go with it.
Yeah, totally.
And I watched Heat, and one I found out was 3 hours long, and I was like, do I have the attention span to sit in a 3 hour long movie?
You do.
And then
you do when it's Heat.
I got an hour into it. I was like, what the hell? I thought this movie was action packed. Like, I really haven't done that much. And then like the last 2 hours of the movie is just batshit crazy. And I was like,
yeah,
oh my God, this movie is great.
Yeah, they got to build up the characters so that they can just go insane.
Yeah, they really did. It was great with that. We're going to do The Godfather because no one's seen The Godfather. We'll do Scarface because that's one of my dad's favorites. When my dad comes back on the podcast, we're doing Deliverance. Just for him.
Ooh.
Because he like...
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, someone told me to squeal like a pig in elementary school. And I was like, Dad, what's this from?
That's concerning.
And then he was like, I'll show you in a couple years. And then he showed me at like 13. And I watched it because it was on that channel. And he goes on a rant like, oh, yeah, I showed you how great of a father I was. I showed you this movie.
Yeah. You guys should do like some ridiculously like you should do Legally Blonde. I had a great time doing Legally Blonde on my podcast. You should totally do Legally Blonde.
We're doing Crazy Stupid Love.
Oh yeah, you're doing that
one. But too. I love romantic comedies. I know Jake does too. So we're just gonna start going with it more and more.
Yeah, lean into the rom-com thing, especially with like two dudes just talking about rom-com. I feel like it's a great vibe.
I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
I think everyone but Tyler likes rom-coms.
Yeah.
And yeah. But there's so many.
There's a ton, for sure.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on. Or thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having you on. Oh shit! Is this my job to edit this shit?
Yeah, no, you are.
This has all just been a big trick to get you to have the responsibility.
Oh no!
I'll send it to you in the Google Drive.
Oh great! Yeah, of course.
Thanks for joining us. Where can everyone find you?
Cineflek. That's Cineflek. People don't know how to spell that sometimes. Just like on all podcast platforms. I'm on Instagram at Cineflek Pod, at Cineflek on Twitter. It's been a fun show. Check it out if you feel inspired. If you liked my bad impressions.
Your impressions were great. There's not one bad thing about them. I can't wait till next week where I start editing this and be like, oh yeah, we talked a lot.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I apologize. It's partly internet, partly because Napoleon Dynamite is apparently just a great movie to talk about.
Solid movie. Yeah. No, I had a great time, you guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
If you're listening on Apple and iTunes, rate, review down below. If you're on YouTube, you're watching us, hello. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, ask a question, give us a movie that we need to watch. Maybe that'll help. Maybe people will comment on that. Give us random movies to watch. I don't care what it is. We'll watch it.
Yeah.
We'll watch it anyway. Don't expect us to like it, but we'll watch it. Hope you guys all have a great day. Remember to keep it real. We'll see you next week.
Peace.